You know, folks, the whole world is talking about Bitcoin. Want to know why? Maybe it's because Bitcoin rose in value over 150% last year, and this is just the beginning. Bitcoin is online investing that anyone can do. Visit bitcoinuniversity.org today. Take a master class, download the Book of Bitcoin, and take your investment portfolio to the next level. Visit bitcoinuniversity.org and discover all that a Bitcoin can do for you. That's bitcoinuniversity.org, bitcoinuniversity.org.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And now let's go to John Solomon, the founder of Just the News, a great investigative journalist. John, you always have some big breaking news. What do you got about, first off, on all of these different administration appointments? There's a lot in the pipeline.
There is. We've got an energy czar. We've got a border czar. You just had the border czar on, Tom Homan. Energy czar is going to be Governor Doug Burgum, who's also going to be Interior Secretary, but he's going to have two roles. We've got a full communications team at the White House led by Stephen Chung, the president's longtime campaign spokesman. And we're beginning to see the national security team. You got Tulsi Gabbard, an advocate for freedoms, even inside the intelligence community, going to be the director of national intelligence. I just talked to Jim Jordan, the House Judiciary Committee chairman, and he told me Tulsi Gabbard's appointment to DNI is going to be transformational, that finally House Republicans, who almost got FISA reform done a couple of years ago, but it failed by a tied vote. It was a 212 tied vote, that he said this time with Tulsi Gabbard pushing from the DNI, that he thinks that there could be, for the first time, a warrant requirement, so that when the FBI and intelligence agencies want to go rifling through our phone records of conversations overseas, they'll now have to go to a court and get a warrant first, a really critical new protection. So a lot of people talking about it. Obviously, there's a lot of questions about, will Matt Gaetz's Attorney General nomination get through? We'll see. It depends on what comes out about the ethics report about him. But I do think that we're in interesting times. President Trump is moving very, very quickly. And
John Solomon, you also have a big scoop on January 6th, which calls into question FBI testimony. This made headlines everywhere.
It did. Yeah, it's still trending on Twitter today. Listen, we're about to, theoretically, we expect to have a new FBI director. We expect Chris Wray to step down soon and for a new FBI director to be appointed by Donald Trump. This story tells you just how deep the problems are at the FBI. The FBI went to Congress last year, went before House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, the very guy I just talked about, and said, listen, we weren't able to find the suspect who planted the bombs at the RNC and the DNC on the morning of January 6th, just before the Capitol riots, because we know that we saw pictures of them with their phones, but the phone data that we got from the phone companies was corrupted. Some members of Congress thought, well, that's an odd thing. How does phone company data get corrupted? So Chairman Barry Loudermilk, who oversees the House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight, he wrote all the telephone companies in America and said, hey, do you have any corrupted data? Did you have any bad data that you gave the FBI? And every single one of them said, nope. They got good, clean data. They could make any identifications they wanted. And, oh, by the way, if there was corrupted data, they never came back to us and asked for it. We could have given them a new set. A real deep concerning revelation that maybe the FBI has intentionally tried to mislead the Congress about this very unusual incident. I mean, there's so much evidence. We can see photos of the suspect. We can see phone records of the suspect. They can't figure out who planted these bombs 4 years later.
Wow, that's really, so that calls into question, obviously, first of all, some of the stuff with the FBI. Ed Cox.
Yeah. Going back to the appointments, I find very interesting that the energy czar is the Secretary of the Interior, and it makes a lot of sense because the Interior is responsible for leasing offshore oil fields, for the Alaska leasing, and along with the head of the EPA.
And drill, baby, drill.
And build, baby, drill. It's not necessarily in the energy department, so that's interesting. Very good.
That's exactly why they put in Governor Burgum to that position.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because Doug Burgum understands energy and the importance of being energy independent.
Yeah, and the federal lands, all of that stuff. And by the way, are you hearing any intel, John Solomon, in terms of who might be FBI? Maybe some of these others. There's a few other biggie positions still hanging.
The president has talked to two people recently, Mike Rogers, former House Intelligence Committee chairman, and Kash Patel, former chief of staff to the Pentagon. Both of them are people. Kash Patel played a major role in unraveling the FBI's fake Russia collusion narrative that was imposed on the American people. So those are two people. Remember, we don't have a vacancy there yet, right? So that may bake in the oven a little bit longer before something happens.
I think there'll be a vacancy based on the way Christopher Wray has kind of handled a couple of things.
The FBI is singing that song kind of quietly now, but it'll get louder as the inauguration day draws near. But I do think the president, Mike Rogers, is going to have to answer some tough questions, because when he was House Intelligence Committee chairman, there were lots of his own colleagues in the House who openly questioned his willingness and commitment to go get the truth about the Benghazi tragedy that happened on Hillary Clinton's watch in Libya in 2012. A lot of frustration that his House Intelligence Committee didn't look aggressively enough at some of the issues there. There's a really open criticism from his own caucus about that. That's likely to come up. Is he a guy that's willing to take the intelligence community's line and carry their water? That's going to be a question he faces. He's a very nice man.
He's a great guy, great background. Yeah,
no doubt. And he was a former FBI agent. But I do think that his role in investigating Benghazi will almost certainly come up in his confirmation.
That's interesting. It's interesting. All the way from Benghazi, or if he jaywalked when he was 12, I think the Democrats would complain about that.
Most likely.
All right, John.
I heard that he did.
Oh, you did. You have proof. Yeah. Governor Patterson has a picture of him jaywalking when he was 12.
There we go.
We got it. All right, John Solomon, thank you very much. Have a great weekend, John.
Great honor to be with you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Janine Pirro here for Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group helps Americans protect their future with the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver. If you're retiring or retired, go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Pirro for your free Janine Pirro Colonial Metals Group Retirement Protection Kit, or call 800-965-8004. 800-965-8004 now to receive a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver.